I just wanted to make a quick video about this issue where apparently a couple with massive amounts of unbankruptable student loan debt killed themselves and their children, in part at least, due to the massive amount of unbankruptable debt they were in, and also apparently due to a head injury. But it always is strange to me, the sort of responses I see, because I see, psychopaths like Bill 9351 here, talking about they should have got the right degree. Here's a little hint: it doesn't matter what degree you get. I really suspect. I mean, look at this comment here: master's in engineering, and this says try a PhD. A hint: don't get a PhD, because it'll just be hundreds of thousands of dollars debt, and you'll be overqualified for everything from what I've seen. But it doesn't matter what degree you have. There's only so many jobs open, and when you've got tons of people with degrees, there's just only going to be so many people who make it. You're basically purchasing a lotto ticket that takes a lot of work to get, and it's a lotto ticket. It's really just a lotto ticket. Also, the thing about, don't get the art degree, apparently some artists do make quite a bit of money. I mean, you can make money in that field as long as you're actually taught something while you're at school. And that brings me to something I was about to say earlier. These schools, I think they purposely undermine people, and I've seen Yuri Bezmenov talk about how the schools will purposely steer people away from things that are useful. And I think it's true, because they make more money off the defaults, because you can't bankrupt. They make more money off the defaults than they do off the people who pay on time, because there's no way to bankrupt, there's no way out of it, so the interest and fees keep piling up. Plus the government has guaranteed these loans. So what's happened is, without bankruptcy protections in place, these schools have no incentive to perform. They can run prices through the roof, both the main principal price for tuition and fees and housing and all that, but they can also run the interest and fees through the roof, which is probably why Betsy DeVos is a billionaire, the head of our Department of Education. But I don't know what else to say. I mean, it's a big mess that was made out of a whole lot of stupid and a whole lot of pride and a whole lot of predatory lending. Oh, where is that comment here? I was looking for the comment. 57,000. Yeah. Oh, here's 57,000. Forensic scientist makes less money than a film editor, and all you need is a bachelor's to make 57,000 a year in film. So this is what I was talking about. I see things like this out there, and I've seen people with PhDs complain about how their son could get a job. Their uneducated son could get a job, but they couldn't get a job unless they left their PhD off their resume. Then the guy's boss found out, and he got fired because he had a PhD. So that's where we're at. We're at a point where the psychopaths think, we should just be burdened with this forever. And it's leading to a lot of problems, not only suicides and murders, but the complete degradation of our education system. And on top of that, it leads to economic problems, because these people, if they're not spending money on the economy, if they're spending money on parasites, aka users, aka bankers, then they're not spending money on the economy. In other words, they're not spending money on you and your job. And by the way, when people talk about how you shouldn't forgive debts, that's like not a Christian or a Jew thing. That's exactly against Judaism and Christianity, because I've read the whole book and I know. So I don't know what else to say. This is it's a complete cluster mess. It's like a perfect storm. I really am starting to wonder if they did this on purpose to create a purposeful economic implosion that involved our education system. Because you combine no bankruptcy, so the school has no incentive to make sure you get a job after you graduate, even 30 grand a year. I mean, that would 30 grand a year, at least a couple decades ago, would have paid off the 40 grand needed to get a bachelor's degree if you were frugal enough. But so now we got a situation where you can't bankrupt, so there's no incentive to reform. The schools get as much money as they want from the government, so they have no incentive to keep prices down, and the interest and fees can just be shot through the roof. So, what do you think? Are you on the psychopath side? Actually, another thing I wanted to point out is for the whole thing where these people say we shouldn't have bankruptcy for student loans, I think what we should do is end all bankruptcy. Because, I think we should end hypocrisy. Because I see a lot of hypocrisy. I mean, I see it in Black Lives Matter, and I see it, in every us versus them situation. Anytime there's any sort of conflict going on there, I see this hypocrisy. So I think we should end the hypocrisy. I think we should end the hypocrisy by making sure that no one can bankrupt, period, for any reason. Because if you bought a TV or a car or a house you couldn't afford, you shouldn't be able to bankrupt on that for anything, period. No bankruptcy for you, none. And none of you would go for that, because things can happen where you can't pay. So obviously bankruptcy needs to return to student loans, because this has created a huge nightmare. It's just a nightmare that's not good for anyone except for psychopaths and bankers and the people running the Department of Education, who do actually make money off all this, from what I recall. So please comment, like, and subscribe, and don't forget to hit the notification bell, and please let me know what you think about all this down in the comment section. I know that was repetitive, but anyway, I'm doing this in one shot without editing. So there you go.